welcome back to our new episode of Study on Spotlight.
It's my pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
And we have Luann from Addison School from Canada. So welcome.
Yeah.
So
Thank
have
you.
you just arrived Hong Kong lately, or just
I came
when did you arrive?
last night. So I'm a little bit tired, but
In the night?
yeah, my
Oh,
flight
God.
got in the evening, and by the time I got here, it was quite late. But I was quite hungry, so I took a stroll along your streets because everything is so convenient and accessible. And I actually ended up having dinner at one of your convenience stores. And it was fantastic because it was quick, it was easy, but it was delicious. So that's definitely one of the things that is different from Canada,
Right.
is, in terms of how accessible everything is, even late into the night. So it's a very wonderful city, vibrant. There's people everywhere. So very lively. So I'm happy to be here.
Right. So J. Addison, actually, you mentioned about convenience. So J. Addison, where is it located?
We're actually in Markham. So it is a smaller city when you look at Ontario, but everybody knows Toronto. So we're just 20 minutes north of the big city. So it's nice because all of our students love going downtown, even my kids. So teenagers, for whatever reason, gravitate towards downtown Toronto, and that's where, a lot of events and activities are. So it's nice that we're that close, but still far enough away from the hustle and bustle of the big city. So for, overseas students coming to study, it's a perfect location.
So can you describe what's about the special of your school, like the program or courses?
For sure. So I've been with the school since 2008, so it's been some years.
You know it well.
I know them very well. I've grown with them. So the building that we're in right now is designed for 300 students. It has the on-site dormitory residence, which is a huge convenience. However, we welcome day students as well. We are K-12. The majority of our students do come for high school. So between the grades of 9 to 12, students will come. They are able to stay in our dormitory from grade 7 to grade 12. So that's important for parents to know. Sometimes they want them to come younger, and we say, oh, no. Any younger, they're probably a bit, they still need their parents' love and support before joining the dormitory program. So aside from the on-site boarding, which is a huge convenience, we have an on-site cafeteria. All the meals are prepared, so it's our own cafeteria, so we control the quality of the food, the meals, and ensure nutrition. We're a small school, so if you compare us to other Ontario private schools, we're probably one of the smaller ones, and I think of that as our advantage. So we take care of every single student. No student gets lost. They're not a number. Every student is very important to us, and so parents, I think, when they have their child come to our school, they can be assured that, we look after them individually. So, we plan their, academic goals, their education goals, their career goals. We work very closely with the parents to ensure, that there's the safety, but also the well-being of their child. One of the other things that differentiate us from other schools is what we have a program called Focus for Success. So this is an after-school program. It's a part of our regular program. And so most schools will have 4 courses per day, just like us, 4 credit courses in high school. But at the end of the day, they then go to Focus for Success, which is a program, it's very versatile. So either students will need help with academics, whether it's tutoring or, they want to take French or Spanish or IELTS preparation or, anything academic is available. But they also do a lot of fun things, so extracurricular activities. And we've had such a wide range of activities, from bowling to knitting to yoga. Every sport, pickleball has been the latest one that a lot of people have taken interest, because we do have a full-size gymnasium, dance studio, in our building. So the facilities, the on-site facilities is also one of our advantages. And so Focus for Success being part of the regular program is great, because what we've seen is that parents will typically arrange after-school programs for their child, which can either be academic or physical activity. And so they actually do it right at school, at our school, before they leave for the school day. So it doesn't matter if you're a dorm student or a day student, you still benefit from Focus for Success.
Oh, that's really good, especially for international students. Probably they will struggle with the English because studying in a second languages, and then as well as the academics. So it's kind of like you juggle a bit when you first started, especially in a completely different education environment, completely different style. So having that focus for us is really helpful, knowing that support.
Absolutely, it's a versatile period, and so students who have strong English, they may take more extracurricular activities, or the ones who love sports will engage more in those types of activities. But it is a program that is different every semester because it depends on the teacher's strengths and then the student interests. So it's a combination of those two factors. That's how we create the Focus for Success program every semester.
That's great.
I also know the school basketball team is very famous.
Yes.
Is that every student can join it?
Unfortunately not. So it is an elite basketball team. So I think that's the one that you're referring to.
Yeah.
And in 2024, our class of 24 graduating class, 10 of our elite basketball students got full scholarships to North American universities, which is incredible. And so they are playing at an elite level, meaning they're pursuing the sport professionally. So that's why not everybody can get in. It is limited to kind of our top athletes. There are very large scholarships available. Having said that, anybody can apply. So, anybody is welcome to apply, but unfortunately it is limited to top and academics as well. They have to be strong academically as well as strong athletically to be able to join that team. We recognize that a lot of students are interested in sports, and so what we've done this year is actually we've started school teams for volleyball, basketball, ping pong or table tennis, soccer, as well as the other one. So I remember we had 5 different sports and track and field. So these are not elite level.
Right.
That opens it up to all students. And so we participate in a different league. So we're not participating in professional leagues. They are more just inter-school competitions. So it is recreational, but students get a chance to play the sports that they're interested in, as well as, engage in healthy competition. So we have strengthened our school's athletic programs through opening up all these other sports teams this year.
Okay. So going back to the elite basketball
Yes.
program, so you said it's not open for everyone. So how's the student being selected, or what grade does it start? And how does it fit into the timetable? Because especially as well as they, I assume they will travel around to compete.
They do.
So how do they balance between the academic and?
Yeah, we work very closely with the coaches. So we have NCAA trained coaches who select but also run the program. And so the school, we accommodate. We have to. So they engage in North American tournaments. So they're traveling quite a bit. One of the requirements, the conditions of staying on the team is keeping their marks up.
Okay.
So, so the teachers do have to work with the students as well to ensure that there are no missed assignments. And if their academics are, dropping below a certain level, then we actually, we may even take them off the team for a little bit to make sure that they focus on the academics. Because by the time they graduate, it is a combination of both the academics and the athletics that is going to get them those big scholarships. So we equate the two. One does not take priority over the other. So they are student athletes, even though they are playing at an elite level. So yes, to answer your question, there is a lot of accommodations needed in order to allow the athletes to be able to play, but also to do well in school.
Okay, so it's good because some kind of students think, I just want to play basketball, I just want to be professional, but forget about the academic and studying.
No, in reality, as far as they go, so whether it's at the high school level, at the post-secondary level, or even further than that, the reality is the academics is always going to be just as important. And, you're probably aware there's a lot of injuries. So for athletes, high-performing athletes, they get injured a lot. So they have to have the academics almost as a backup. Yeah. Because if, they cannot play anymore one day for whatever reason, they need to make sure that there's still a way to pursue, a very successful career. And they can still stay in the, athletic industry, but they may not actually be playing. And so that's why, we reinforce it's very important that you make sure you do continue to keep, your studies, maintain very good marks and make sure you complete your studies and complete those graduation goals.
All right, that's really true. So.
Also, I know the most, like many parents, they're concerned about the student, the safety in the school. Can you tell us more about how school to protect their child?
Absolutely. So for us, the health, safety, and security of our students, of our whole entire school community, is top priority. So without that, we really can't do anything else, right? So that's why we ensure, as a start, the security, of our buildings. So our doors are locked 24/7. So unless you have authorized access, you're not able to gain entry. We do schedule, make appointments so that for our visitors, so that there are no surprises as much as possible. In the past, we would allow people to just come in, but after COVID and just a lot of horrific events around the world, we've decided no, we're just going to keep our building locked at all times, and whoever it is that wants to visit us, we'll take the time to either make an appointment or let us know who they are. And so we have security monitoring across all of our facilities to ensure again that we are able to see everything that's going on at all times, to be able to investigate if needed. And so all of our staff are trained on the same, especially our reception staff, who are the ones who grant access to our visitors. So we're very proud to be able to ensure the safety of all of our students. Now, dorm students, they need permission from their parents to be able to leave. Sometimes it sounds like,
Well, even going to town?
Restrictive, sorry?
Even going to town?
Oh, yeah. So now it's up, we leave it at the discretion of parents, because they know their child the best. So do we grant them open access? Are they allowed to leave the premises at any time? That's a parent permission. Do we need to get your permission each and every time? That's also a parent decision, right? And we respect, the parents' decision on that, and we'll work with them. So if we feel sometimes they're a bit too restrictive and it's not working out, because we do strive to, keep all of our students happy. When they're happy, that's how they do better in school. That's what we've noticed.
So I know Markham is also, speaking of going into town or going into the neighborhood, so Markham is famously known with popular for Chinese immigrants.
Yes.
So students, I'm sure that they would often go into town or just going outside school, just get the necessaries and all the exams, or probably just go for shopping.
Yeah.
So how convenient is it being in Markham? Is there any disadvantage or advantage, I should say? Because some parents were concerned with Markham because there's a Chinese density, but Chinese population.
Right.
Would their child get the chance to practice their English, or would they be just easily emerge?
Absolutely. So every student who comes to our school, they all come from different parts of the world, and they usually always speak a different language. So English is the second language. But when they come to our school, they are Canadian. And so that's one of our school rules, actually, is that while you're at school, you have to speak English. And sometimes it takes a little bit of an adjustment for them to understand, but all of our staff are supportive of the school rule, and this is to help them. The more they practice English, the better that they will become. And so that's something that we enforce very strongly. So the Markham area, yeah, you're right. There's a high population of Chinese people who've come to the city. But again, English is the predominant language. And so if you compare, it's definitely not the same as Hong Kong. There's going to be an adjustment. And it's one of the reasons why we always recommend that students come a bit earlier. So if they start their program in September, we say, well, can they come in July or August? And just take that time to get settled, to get used to the new environment. Where we're located is actually walking distance, from a lot of shops, from restaurants, from grocery stores, even there's a plaza, but it's not, here, it's a few minutes walk from here, like literally downstairs, actually. It's not that close. You're talking probably between 5 to 20 minutes. So that is, it's not a far distance, but it is different. And that's something that they need to get used to, right? Because they may have preferences in terms of where they want to go. Having said that, it is very convenient to access, different places either by transit Not quite as, convenient and efficient as Hong Kong, I must say. But we also use Uber, and we find that the students tend to use that a lot because it's quite easy to use, it's readily available, and in we're in our location where we are, that's probably the best way to get around. But there's lots of shops that are nearby. Even just right across the street from the school, there's a plaza full of different restaurants that the students visit very often, coffee shops, restaurants, and just go back to the security. One of the school rules that our students are not crazy about, we do have a mandatory lunch program. And in the past, we did let them out. So in the past, we had a 1 hour break for lunch, and we let the students leave the school premises. What we found is there was often a lot of lates returning, but then also just their choice of meals was not always very good. So for students from grade 4 to 12, we've actually made it a mandatory to join the lunch program, and we shortened the lunch break as well, so that it's enough time for them to eat, to take a little bit of break, but then to go back to class. So that's one of the things, because some parents have asked, well, what if I want to pack my child a lunch? And we only do that for the kindergarten up to grade 3, and the reason is because there's a lot of allergies at the younger ages. So that's what we've noticed, and so for health reasons we would of course permit that, but for all other dietary restrictions, whether they're lactose intolerant or they're halal or whatever the dietary restriction may be, we do accommodate for grade 4 to 12.
I know, like students and parents, they want to know about what school cuisine like they provide.
Yeah, with food. What options that is allowed or provide in school for lunch?
As an international school, we want to provide international menu for our students so that they are experiencing all different types. So one of the things that I encourage all of our prospective parents or students is to look at our social media pages, and you'll see we celebrate all the different nationalities, and so our head chef is Italian.
Oh.
Yeah, and he's been with us since it's been over 10 years now that he's been with us. But he will make foods from all around the world. And actually it's funny because we do have other chefs who are Chinese chefs, but our students like his Chinese food. So he's adapted. He's very, very experienced. But because our students are, from Asia, from the Middle East, from South America, from the Bahamas, the Caribbean, so we'll actually, we'll have different weeks to celebrate those nationalities, just because our students are from there. And so, you'll see from Instagram or Facebook, that we'll have International Food Week, and you'll see all the different types of foods that we serve. On a regular basis, we strive to provide healthy, balanced meals, which will consist of 2 proteins. Robert will always usually have a vegetable, one or two vegetable options, and then a dessert, which could consist of healthy fruit, or sometimes it could be sweets. And so in that way, we're able to accommodate, whether it's a vegetarian, diet, or people who don't eat pork, like myself. And so food is definitely one of our strengths.
And that is very important, especially comparing to before, because students are allowed out to eat for lunch, but now they have mandatory meal plan in school, so they get a much balanced diet. And because sometimes as a teenager, so often we just go, I just want to go to junk food and all those, and not having vegetables and the nutrition that's necessary for their growth. So I think that's really good. The school is monitoring, especially.
Absolutely correct. So teenagers don't always make the best decisions, which we know of. And so we try hard, where we can to, implement in terms of, where we can control different things. And food is one of them. Yeah. So if we offer healthy meals, at least, for the day students, hopefully for the one meal they get a nutritious lunch. And that way, so even, sometimes students struggle with eating disorders, and that's also something that we focus on. So our student guidance department will actually, monitor students who are not eating because, there's, as teenagers, they go through different issues. And so health and wellness certainly is an area, again, being a smaller sized school, we're able to notice, there's a couple of students who are not going to lunch. Why, right? And so we'll talk to them. And we just addressed this recently, and it took a little bit of counseling, but we've been every day monitoring them and ensuring that they do, go downstairs to the cafeteria to have lunch.
So how does school actually monitor that? Because do the whole school community come together, have lunch together, or do they eat with teachers as well at the same time?
Yeah, there are designated eating spaces. So the cafeteria is the largest one. So all students have lunch in the cafeteria. And then for staff, they have a few more options because staff have staff rooms and staff kitchens. But if students are not in the cafeteria during lunchtime, they're not having lunch, right? So that's definitely one of the strengths of our school is our staffing team. Every single one of our staff members is caring, and they recognize, staff are at the school to support the well-being of the students. And so, various staff will bring to our attention, if they see, anything that's just not quite right, there's a student crying in the corner, there's a student not doing well, or there's some conflict. But as a team together, we're able to kind of monitor all of our students. And again, with our security surveillance cameras, all of that kind of helps us, in terms of ensuring that no student is lost, nobody is kind of, not looked after. So it's definitely a team effort, though.
Yeah, and especially with the size of the school is not big.
Yes.
So it's a really close community and having each other looking after each other.
Absolutely.
That's great. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
It
I
is.
know. Oh, well. So what about student, especially we're talking about the caring and the support school, and especially mentioned about earlier the Focus for Success program.
Yeah.
So what about in terms of like international students? They often start with like maybe lower English level, or maybe struggle as a single languages. How students are support throughout the English, and as well as how would you comment? I think my question is, how would you comment on students studying in a school with a high international student ratio, and what's the benefit? And yeah,
For sure. So being a private international school, we completely understand that English is the second language for most of our students. And that's why, so, right from the beginning when we start, when they apply, so a lot of our parents, their biggest question is, will my child graduate and go to, a specific university and get into a specific program? And so what we've done is offered to them an assessment, at the stage of application. So before they commit, even, we gather the information in terms of, well, what is your child wanting to do? And so the more specific the goal, the easier it is for us to assess. But sometimes they don't have those specific goals, which is okay, because that's what we're here for, is to help them, is to guide them. But with the minimum that we can do is assess their language, because we find that that's probably the only criteria that will affect in terms of the duration of their program. So most high schools around the world, the courses are similar. So if they're taking high school courses in another country, we can take those courses and grant equivalent credits to our high school program, right? So that whenever they join during high school, they can come up and then just start a high school program. The English level, though, will hold them back. So if they're not already at, so ESL has 5 levels between A to E. And so what we can help do is assess their level from the beginning. And so if students know that they're at a level A or B, then we'll tell parents they need more time. And so right from there, we can say, until they get to level C or D, we can't actually have them join their regular high school program. They have to focus on ESL first. And so then we figure out, well, how do we do that? So that's why the more time that we have with students is the better. Because when they come in grade 12, we have very, very limited time. So then we still have options in terms of what we want to do. But if they're able to come in grade 11, then we can say, well, we can use the summer, So we'll spend the summer on English and ESL, and then by the time they join in September, they can start with grade 10 English, let's say, and then use the next 2 years to complete, all of their courses on time and not be held back. And so parents have that option. They don't have to, because we accommodate students at all English levels. We will take, so we conduct the ESL assessment for all international students on the first day of school. So if they haven't already done that, if parents just said, I just want to register them at your school, and you take care of them and you help them graduate, we say, okay, that's our job, we will do that. And so we'll assess them on the first day, place them, and then build their timetable accordingly. So, ESL is something all of our staff are trained on. And so we do have various staff in the school who are able to help with translation, to be able to provide additional support. Focus for Success is another area that we can, another program that we can offer additional support. But even for dorm students, they have additional support in the evenings. So as part of the dorm program, there's homework call every evening, which is optional. So optional for those who don't need it. And then if the teachers come to us,
how do you define who do not need it? As a student, so often I just want to get away from doing homework, right?
Again, being a small school, our day teachers will collaborate with our dorm staff. So we've done this many times where our daytime teachers will email our dorm staff and say, Johnny hasn't completed his assignment and it is due. Please make sure he does it tonight. And the dorm staff will say, sure, we'll work with him, and he doesn't get to go to gym, he doesn't get to do any fun things until he completes his assignment. So again, as a team, that's how we're able to look after the students.
Aww. So that's really helpful, especially teenagers trying to get away. Sometimes
for sure.
Just for fun, but forget about the homework and assignment due tomorrow,
Exactly. Teenagers need structure. They need discipline. And so, when they don't complete their homework, maybe they have to meet with their vice principal and have a little talk and understand what's going on. And maybe they are grounded for a couple of days until they finish. So these are the kinds of things that, as a school, it's a lot easier to implement because parents struggle. And, it's no, we're not saying that parents are not doing a good job. But I myself as a parent can relate. It's not easy issuing discipline to your own child. They just refuse to listen to you. So as a school, it's actually so much easier. We have rules. They're applied the same to all the students. If you don't follow the rules, then you are going to be disciplined. And they don't like it, but they adhere to the rules, and it works. So, that's something that parents can be reassured about, is that, when your child comes to us, we're going to teach them life skills, how to do laundry, how to clean their room, how to not make a mess, how to follow rules, how to respect rules. And these are all, I think challenges that parents have had because they focus on, providing, nurturing, love and support to their child. So discipline and rules is not always easy.
And especially being in that environment when everyone's around you is doing the same thing and getting into routine, and much easier to be focusing on what you should be doing. And
exactly.
So, yeah. Oh, well,
it works. It's our strategy, and we find it's very effective. So I feel sometimes like we work miracles because students come in when they join us, and especially when they come from different countries, it's very different. So, in Asian countries, we find they're very, very academic focused, strongly academic focused. And I think, there have been changes in the last, probably couple of decades. But when students are studying in Asia, they still feel like I have to go to school and I have to spend 10 hours a day, and when I get home I spend another 2 hours. And when they come to our school, we say, no, we want you to have fun. Relax. We want you to enjoy, smile and laugh, and, so it's different. but it works very well.
And there are many ways to success, and especially.
Absolutely.
So it's always finding the right path and right choices for your own, not for the others and not for your parents.
No.
So yeah. So I think we're about time for today's episode.
Is that right?
But before we end, is there any advice you want to give to international student who was going to Canada or who wants to go to Canada and study in Addison School?
Well, my advice always to, whenever anybody comes to me, so my background is actually in human resources, and so I studied a lot about human behavior, and so when anybody comes to me, whether it's a staff member or a student, and the golden question is, I don't know what to do, with, my future goals. So I said, well, I'm going to try and simplify it for you, right? Because it's not easy to choose, something to strive for, to set your future goals. So I said, think about what you like to do, but also think about what you're good at doing. And so it sounds really simple, but the combination of those two equals success. So when you're choosing your studies, right, what do you want to study? Not just, what's going to make you lots of money. What do your parents want? What do your friends want? What does, society want? It does require a lot of soul searching, to understand yourself and what you enjoy doing. Because when you enjoy doing something, you can spend countless hours, and it's okay, you don't mind, right? But the other part of it is you actually have to be good at it. So, as much as, you choose something that you're going to enjoy, also make sure that you're really good at it. And that will bring you to success.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming or being here with us today. So
Very welcome.
Any one of you are interested in Addison School, so please feel free to contact us anytime. So
thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure speaking to you. And certainly, at our school, we have a whole team of people. So anybody who has questions or anything like that, no question is too small. We're more than happy to answer them for you and help you in terms of guiding you, not just, towards an education at our school, but we do really want, you to do well, in your academic journey. So we're here to help with that, however we can.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
All right, we'll see you next time then. Bye.
Bye for now.